For thousands of years, men have been trying to figure girls out. Because let's just be honest here, girls already figured us guys out a long time ago. What you guys are about to learn are 4 more of the craziest things that I ever learned about girls, and every single one of these is something that completely changed my life for the better, because the more that I understand, the better that I become. Number 1, girls have more options than us. This might not come as a surprise for many of you, but when I really and truly understood this fact, the way that I viewed myself and the way that I viewed girls changed in a big way. The reality is that girls have, and they always will, on average, have more options than us men when it comes to dating and when it comes to many other things for that matter. And with the creation of social media, girls have more options than ever to pick and choose the best mate that they can find. But guys, don't be mad, because we do the same exact thing. As guys, we want to attract the best girl that we can find, so we can't get mad when girls just want to do the same thing. But the truth is that girls will always have more options on average than us men, because there are always going to be 10 other dudes who are willing to give away or to do way more than you are willing to do. So why is this important, and how did it change my outlook? Once I understood that girls have more options, I was able to finally understand why it is that they are so much more careful when choosing a mate. So for many of you, girls having more options might seem like a bad thing, but it's actually a blessing in disguise, because you have to think about it like this. Imagine you've tried 20 different pieces of chocolate, and out of those, only 2 or 3 of them were really any good. Now, the next time that you go to choose a piece of chocolate, you're going to instantly know, just based on the taste of it, whether or not that chocolate is high quality, because you have those reference points and that experience of tasting many other chocolates that weren't any good. And as a result of this, you're going to be able to easily see that the rest of the chocolates were just not that good. And yes, I just sort of compared men to pieces of chocolate. But the point here is that girls having options is a good thing, because when a high value man such as yourself comes around, girls will be able to see very quickly that you are the high quality man that she does not want to let get away. Or in other words, you are the high quality piece of chocolate. It's kind of a weird analogy, I know, but it works. Number 2, girls want guys who are in demand. One of the craziest things that I ever learned about females is that they want a man who is in demand. And at a glance, it seems like common sense, but it's really not that common at all. This might be hard to believe, but many guys really do believe that girls will settle for any old guy on the street, and the real world just doesn't work like that. Girls want men who are high value or who are in demand. They want a man who doesn't have all of the free time in the world to sit around and think about them or whether or not they like him or not. One of the greatest beliefs that held me back for a long time was believing that girls should just be interested in me simply because I am a human being. And it wasn't until I realized that I was simply one player in a game with about 4 billion other players that I finally realized that being a human being isn't really anything special, at least from the viewpoint of other human beings. Now, when I say in demand, this could mean a guy who is desired by other girls, a guy who is wealthy, or a guy who's in a position of power, such as a manager in a large company. It could also mean what you look like physically, and it could even be something like how many people you know, or in other words, these social connections that you have. The term in demand is actually the sum of all of these things, and the more that you have of these things, the more in demand you will be. And the coolest part about this is that most of these things can actually be changed or altered to be in your favor. Most of these things can be improved, and that alone is very powerful to understand, but only if you guys get out there and actually make something happen. Once I understood that girls want a guy who is in demand, I basically said, great, I'm going to play the game. And if most girls want a 6, then I'm going to grab the dice and roll an 8 or 10 or 12. But the coolest part about all this, guys, is that chasing your purpose, improving your career, gaining wealth, those are all things that I needed to do in my life anyway. So the fact that doing all of these things also happens to make me the type of guy that girls chase after, or the type of guy that's in demand. It's like the icing on a cake that already tastes really freaking good. Number 3, the approval trap card. When I was younger, one of my close friends and I used to play a card game while eating fast food at Wendy's. And in this game, you had something called a trap card. And once set, the trap card typically will destroy the monster that your opponent uses to attack it. And the most effective time to place the trap card is obviously when it is least expected. And if a trap card is used at the perfect moment, even when all hope seems to be lost during the match, it has the potential to completely change the outcome of the game. Pretty much every girl on the planet has their own approval trap card. And as long as you don't play into the trap, you can make sure that the odds of the game are always in your favor. So what does this actually mean? What it means is that as men, we love showing off how powerful our monsters are, so to speak. We love to equip them with power-ups and make them so strong that we can crush any of our opponents. When a man seeks approval from a woman, all that he's doing is saying, hey, I don't think I'm good enough for you to like me, so I'm going to show off this nice car or be extra nice. And girls are actually really smart when it comes to this stuff. So what they're going to do is they're going to lay the approval trap card down when you least expect it. And the moment that you play into it, you're going to lose your most powerful card on the field and you're going to lose your most powerful advantage that you had. It's like when you find out that the real millionaires in the world are the guys who almost never do anything to show off their wealth, and you have to actually dig to try to figure this out about them. It's the same concept. All the guys out there who seek approval are the ones who do all of these things, like showing off their nice car, wearing all types of designer clothes, and doing all these other weird things that are just a waste of money most of the time. So anytime you guys are thinking about doing something or saying something to a girl, and the only reason that you are doing or saying it is because you want a girl you like to approve of you, what you're going to do is you're going to trigger her trap card and you're going to lose your strongest advantage that you could possibly have as a man. Number 4. Girls don't actually want to be number 1. One of the craziest things that I've ever learned about girls in my entire life is that they don't actually want to be the number 1 thing in your life. But it goes a lot deeper than that. Growing up, most of us older dudes watched movies like Aladdin and many other Disney movies where the main focus of the man is how to get the girl to like him. In many movies like this set the scene where you have a street rat like Aladdin who encounters a runaway princess, and then suddenly he feels this overwhelming urge that he needs to do everything in his power to make her like him. Even to the extent of summoning an all-powerful genie and convincing the genie to instantly transform him into the type of high-value prince that girls would chase after naturally. And it did take a while, but when I finally figured this one out, like all the other points in this video, it completely changed my life for the better. Because with great knowledge comes great power. On the surface, it seems completely paradoxical, because why wouldn't girls want 100% of your attention? And the truth is that they do want these things, but not in the way that most men give it to them. Paradoxically, it is only by not giving a girl 100% of your attention and by not making it seem as if she is of far greater importance than you or of a far greater value than you that you are truly able to make her feel like she is number 1. Pretty much all girls feel like they are the most important thing in the world when they have to actually fight for your attention. This is the epitome of a high-value male, or a guy who is so busy chasing his purpose that he actually doesn't really have any time for girls. Think about the last time somebody ignored you or gave you barely any of their attention, and think about how you felt when you finally got their attention. When this happened, you probably felt like the most important guy in the entire world. I know I did. You see, girls do want to feel like the number 1 thing in your life, but the right way to give them this feeling is paradoxically by doing the complete opposite of what you think you would do. So instead of giving them all of your attention, all of your time, or all of your availability, what you're going to do instead is give them very little of these things, so that when they do finally get your attention, or they do finally get some of your time, it is going to be worth so much more to them. It's going to make them feel far more important than they would ever feel if you would have just given them all of your time and all of your attention. It's not dropping everything that you're doing in your life for girls that makes them feel like they are number 1. And it's not putting them before your career or your purpose that actually makes them feel like a princess. Instead, it is doing the complete opposite of these things. So I want you guys to keep an eye out for the trap cards and take this knowledge and put it to good use. And if you guys want exclusive content or you just want to support the channel, check out the link to my Patreon below the video. And with that said, until next time, thank you guys so much for watching.